All right, I'm freezing my nuts off out here. My hands hurt. Just got started setting up. It's been raining off and on. I guess I shouldn't complain because it's, what is it, the middle of late December and I'm in Florida in shorts. But it is like 50-something degrees, which is cold for us. Anyway, it's been raining off and on. So now is the Sun Joe, I guess we'll call this the Sun Joe mid-end because there is the Sun Joe Pro stuff. But we've got the 3200, the 3000, 3001. I'm not going to have to, I don't think I'm going to have to do 3000, 3001. They should be the same. Same thing with the 4000, 4001. It's just a difference of hose reel or no hose reel. And then we've got the 3000 and the 3500s, the 3500, 3501, 3501, the Maxes, which are the brushless motors. So we'll test those out as well. So these are the most popular cheap pressure washers on the market, and they run them on sale all the time. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of specs we get out of these. My guess is we're going to get in the the 1.5 to 1.8 gallon per minute range, and then we'll start modifying them. Another thing I'm going to add to this test, because these are more viable, I did do a quick test on the Ryobis in the beginning of a 50 foot versus 100 foot, and I didn't notice there was no pressure or output difference. But we'll run a quick test on that on a couple of these just so we can check that box. But let's see what we got. So this is the 3200 Go Anywhere, the 4-wheel drive version. So I'm thinking this has the same motor as the others. It's just in a little different configuration. You know, if I was a mobile guy, I mean, this would probably be a bit more practical. First thing I notice on these versus the ones from the previous video, the entry level Sun Joes, we have a much better hose. You know, this is a 25 foot, a traditional single wire, 2900 PSO, 3000 PSI, pressure washer / hydraulic type hose. We have to adapt it with some sort of fittings. In this case, I actually have some M22 15 millimeter couplers. I have those in there, but I can't source them yet. So for now, I have the $10 aluminum adapter here that converts 15 millimeter to 14 millimeter, and then we have our pressure gauge in here. We also have the ability on these to adapt their stainless wand. Pretty interesting how they have opposite fittings. So when you push the nozzle in place, it snaps in, which is kind of cool. I would suspect this probably won't last as long as a traditional coupler, but these and the ARs have that type of press-on fitting. And then we will be able to adapt the foam cannon here pretty easily. So these have the same puke sound as the others, the typical barfing when you let off the trigger. I like doing that. Let's try to break it. So we have 1,490 PSI, so right at 1,500. It's rated at 2,030, just like the 3,000s and the 4,000s. Just so we can clarify, let's put a 15-degree nozzle on and see if our pressure changes a whole heck of a lot. Identical, same pressure. Now, real world pressure, we're going to get more cleaning capability out of this with a 15-degree, but just for the sake of our test and the fact that when we're washing cars, I prefer a 40-degree. We're going to stick with the 40-degree nozzle on all these tests. Same pressure. So 25-foot hose, but we have the same funky adapters to get this to work, to make this work the best. Now, I prefer to have a plug on the pressure washer rather than putting the coupler on the pressure washer. I just feel like there's less chance of me beating up and messing up our connection here. When we take this apart, I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so let's do our GPM test. This is what everyone's so excited about. Ah, shoot, tainted test. Pulled the trigger a little early. Makes me nervous that I have 1,500 PSI right next to my brain here. So my guess is this is gonna pull about the same, or push, I guess I should say, the same amount of water as the others. Okay. It doesn't feel like a whole heck of a lot of water. Let's see. This is a classic example. I bought a $100 Brother printer, cheaping out. It made it what, 4 months, 3 months? So that means I'm going to need to buy a new $100 Brother printer. Why don't I just buy a $500 printer, a $1,000 printer, and have it not break all the time? Same thing with these pressure washers. It's, you know, but there are 3 people in the world that have had their Brother printer last them 6 years. All right, 12.8. Shoot, that's pretty low, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is bad news for you Sun Joe lovers.
1.20.
Oh, 1.20, and it's rated at 1.76. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, for the old SPX3000 lovers.
13.9 amp.
Oh, and it's pulling more current. We'll see what happens with, this is a 15 amp rated motor, but or 14.5 amp rated motor. But let's see what happens when we put that 1.1 millimeter orifice nozzle on it. Let's get our dB test. These do sound a little quieter, but I might be making that up. I love the fact that this only did 1.2 GPM because I want the world to pay me lots of money for my Krenzla only. 68. A little louder than the others. So what I was saying earlier about this, you know, I have the plug on the outlet of the pressure washer. You could put a coupler on the outlet of the pressure washer and a plug on the end of the hose. But I find that these couplers are more stout and do better because you generally need a lot of torque on the end of the hose to make sure it doesn't leak. So I prefer to put the coupler on the end of the hose and the plug on the outlet of the pressure washer. And nobody makes a M22 15 millimeter plug yet, but I'll get it done at some point. Okay, so there's our hose. The more I use this hose, the more I love it. Ted, we need a car. Missed your opportunity to get more water spots. There we go. That's a little better. That's why the GPM sucks, because I didn't let the air out. I ruined it. What?
Your gauge.
Oh, jeez. That's what you're yelling at me and I wasn't listening? Freaking gauge. We're only 1 in and I'm ready to start freaking kicking stuff. This just makes the world better. I just pretend that hunk of crap is not connected to the end of this thing, and life just seems right. All right, what size is it? That freaking cracks me up. It's the funniest sound I've ever heard in my life. You'll never be able to unhear it now. All right, let's put a 2.5 on here. See what happens. We're going to want to dial this up to about 1200 PSI or so. We're only getting 1.2 GPM out of it. That's 1,000. Gosh, that feels really lean, man. Let's put a 2 on it and see what happens. We're going to have to check the current, though, because it was already drawing 13.9 amps. Ooh, ooh. That's 1,050. That does not sound good at all. So that's a 2.0. So that means if they're getting 15 amps out of theirs, or I'm sorry, 1,500 PSI out of their 40-degree nozzle, it must be a tiny, tiny nozzle. But I think we're going to want a 2.0 on this. That's really going to ruin the GPM on this thing. Let's see.
What did you say, 1,050?
1,050, how much current was that drawing?
It's only 11.1.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that would tell me that the nozzle they put on this is even smaller. Okay, so that means we should get a little bit more, oh shoot. We should get a little bit more water output. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the same motor in this as it is in the others, so This is bad news for old Sunjoe lovers.
Sounds very like.
I was actually prepared to be like, have to eat my words on this stuff. Like, I thought for sure I was going to be dead wrong. It was going to get like 1.9 GPM. Like all this crap I've been talking all these years have been full of crap. I'm gonna have to write a formal apology to the Sunjoe gods.
Thankfully, the SPX3000 is going nowhere.
Yeah, maybe the 3000 will be better. It's feeling a little dainty here. 2.0 nozzle, 1050 psi.
It's not even a gallon.
Oh shoot, it doesn't feel so good. Look at that. Oh no. I feel so bad for all the Sunjoe users. And by bad, I mean great. Oh shoot, 11.1. What do we got?
0.995.
I'll round it up to 1. I'll give it a 1. 0.995. So 1 GPM with a 2.0 nozzle at 1050 psi. Yikes. I was not even putting the 100-foot hose on this one. Yee. Most popular, about to become least popular. And that makes me happy. Oh, cut that part out. Oh boy. 1.1, I put some fresh soap in it so we won't have any complaints about foam. Let's see what happens. Let me just make sure. Yeah, there's a soap dispenser on this thing. Nope, that doesn't do anything. Just wanted to make sure. They were getting some foam. Definitely not as good as the Greenworks or the Ryobis that we used. But still, I mean, reasonable. On the 1.1, how much?
10.0.
10.0. So we're safe with a 1.1 millimeter orifice. All right, let's connect up one of the 3000 and see what happens here. Crisis averted. I had it on low. There's a low and high on this one, so we're gonna have to retest it. Shoot. So I guess let's do the whole frickin' test over again, you idiot. Yeah. 1500, 1490. Yeah, I think it's just when I put the new gun on. I think I put it. Yeah, it's just the wrong mode. So I think we're still gonna measure 1.2 GPM here. Just what I wanted to do, spend more time with the Sunjoe. I'm gonna have to redo it. Jesus. I'm not gonna throw this across the parking lot, I promise. Start over, you freaking hunk of crap. If my gauge wasn't attached to this, I would punt that thing.
Oh, Michelle's here early.
She wanted to come see the Sunjoe test. She's excited about this. The world needs to know. If this reads 1.8 GPM, I quit. How the heck did it go from beautiful to raining in like 25 seconds? I'm glad I found that because I would have had to redo this whole test again. And somebody figured it out. 13.0. Yeah, 1.22 GPM. So we did the first test right. Let's put our new nozzle on here. You better break those down, lady. Don't even think about it. You lazy person. Okay, that makes more sense. 2.0, too much. We're gonna go back to 3.0. Crisis averted. All right, that gives us 1,000. I think that might be the ticket. So we're gonna pick up some GPM. This is 2.5, and that's a 4.0. 2.5. Yeah, too much, 1,300. So we want a 3.0 nozzle. We're gonna get much better foam now, for sure. Now it doesn't sound like it's broken. It sounds a little more realistic. And you know, I'm just such a darn good guy that we're gonna leave that whole stupid part in, because no one else would ever make that mistake. Ever. What kind of scientist am I proposing to be? You don't know anything. The only thing I know is I don't want to be doing any more of these, but we've got 25 more to go. Yeah, we're definitely gonna pick up some GPM here. Excuse me. Coming through, science is coming through. Science. 15.0. So that's more realistic.
1.46.
1.46. Still nowhere near the 1. What? 8? 1.76 GPM?
1.76 is what they're playing.
Yeah, no way. Not even close. This hose is darn magical, I'm telling you. There we go. That's just like all the other ones. Good. 13 amps. Good. 1.1 millimeter orifice, safe, sound, functioning. Next. So we got some bad news. First bad news is I'm cold. Second bad news is this was the second pressure washer that we've been doing here that came used. And so this is a risk to you buying these darn things, especially if you start chasing sales. I was just trying to buy them wherever I could get them as quickly as I could. So this one, bought from Amazon, from a Amazon reseller. It showed up in some janky looking brown box, and then the reason why I know it's used, the power cord clearly has been drug across the ground a bunch, and the other thing was all the accessories, all the parts were in like pink Ziploc plastic bags. So what we have now is a machine that's jacked. So there's no leaks, it's just messed up. Appears to be functioning. It's just that there's probably some sort of air leak inside somewhere. So what we're gonna do is we'll test the 3000 and 3001, and we should get the same specs. So we'll see, because it's working. Same 1490, so I'm saying get the same pressure. But it just has a real, like, it's like just raring to go. It's ready. It's at the ready at any moment. All right, so we're getting 1490. Let's get our, it's like, how have I already lost a pep in my step, and we're only one pressure washer in today, and I'm already like doing the mope walk, you know? It's like, come on. This is how much I hate these things. And this just adds insult to injury. No, get out of here. No one call me. Doing important scientific experiments. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So this is rated same as the 30, God, it's cold, 3200. It's the same rating as the 3200 Go Nowhere. That one, 1.76 gallons per minute. So this theoretically is going to do about 1.2, just like that did with the stock configuration here. Again, the machine sounds good. We're getting the appropriate pressure and everything. So this, even though this one's jacked up, this one's a candidate for getting baseball bats smashed in the parking lot. It'd be the best $100 I ever spent. For my own sanity. Oh, I keep forgetting my gauge is on here. I so want to just throw one of these. This is too much fun. Ooh. 13.7. So how the heck is this one putting out that much water than the other one? What is that?
1.31.
Yeah, 1.31 GPM with the stock setup, even with a stutter. I bet you that stutter gives us a little extra, little extra juice. 67.5. This is just a good old-fashioned holly jolly Christmas out here with some Sun Joes. All right, good. It's fixed. Somewhere there was a leak on the inlet or the outlet. Oh, there it is. Okay, 3.0 nozzle. Right at 1,000. If we go to a 2.5. Yeah, that gets us 1,300. That's a little too much. I like the 3.0. $15.0, same as the others, right? Same as the 3,200?
1.46.
Yeah, 1.46 GPM with a 3.0 nozzle. So we know there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this other than there's some leak somewhere. Probably internally on the pump, there's an air leak or a water leak. I don't see any water dripping out of it anywhere. So in other words, this was a broken unit. Someone returned it, and then the douche company just resold it to me on Amazon. And because I'm too lazy to, I don't have time to send it back. Instead, we're just gonna smash it with a sledgehammer. Let's try, let's put a 100-foot hose on this thing, see what happens. Exactly the same pressure. So once you get hoses, especially using a 3/8 inch hose, once we get over like, I don't know, 150 feet, and once you start to get really, really long lengths, you'll start to, we'll start to lose some, we'll start to lose some PSI. So 100-foot hose is fine. Yeah, there is a little leak there. That's a problem. So I'm going to change the fitting on this. Because then maybe I can, well, I can't sell it now because I just kicked it. But anyway, you get what I'm saying on a freaking 100-foot hose. Foam cannon test, go. What do we got?
13.2.
13.2, so we're safe with the 1.1. And it's not the fitting. Ah! It's the pressure washer. All right, somebody get this thing out of my sight. All right, we have the golden child now. This is the 3001. So the one we just tested, although mine is faulty, I mean, generally it operates like this, where you turn it on and it has total stop. That sound, it's like music. Beautiful, beautiful music. So, the 1.76 gallon per minute, 2,030 PSI, clearly they're not doing that. They're not providing us that. They're providing us about 1,500 PSI and about 1.4 gallons per minute. I tested out here putting on a different garden hose to 3/4 inch NPT fitting. I think the threads on these, so on the thing that comes with this, they look like they're equal thread. So it's probably some sort of metric fitting. I don't know, but I put this on and I do have a little bit of water seeping. And so I did order, somebody turned me on to Sunjoe, has a metal adapter that converts GHT to, I'm guessing 3/4 inch NPT, but again, I don't think this is an NPT thread here. I think this is some, like it might be BSP or something, some equal length thread. So, I think we definitely want to upgrade this. I ordered a couple of different options right from Sunjoe's site, so we'll see if that threads on a little better than the fittings that I have. But this is a much more stout connection for any of these, whether it's the Sunjoe, the Karcher, or the AR Blue. They all have this funky little crappy plastic thing that I had to put in a vise and still has a tendency to leak. So this machine has a couple of different options we'll talk about here in a minute in upgrading. First, let's get our specs, and then we'll talk about how you could remove the hose reel, or you could just extend the hose. So you'll have a couple of options. All right, this is giving me 1425 is what I'm getting out of this. So a little less than the 3000 was, and the 3200. Which all have the same pump. So the biggest deficiency of this is the 25-foot hose, and then the hose reel that just really doesn't work very well. So it's going to be my recommendation to people to just ditch the hose reel completely. But there is an advantage to these, because the hose reel does have an internal whip that runs to the back. And I hadn't done much digging into this when I had one of these before, when I did the initial test of it. But we can adapt, just like the 3001, we can adapt an aftermarket hose if we want to just replace the whole thing, which would probably be the smart thing to do. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, running a solid like 14.25 PSI. And if we swapped out the nozzles, we would get the same pressure, relatively same pressure. So I mean, this test is kind of pointless, because we could just extrapolate the data from the 3001 or the 3200, but I figure we got it. Let's just get it for real. We did measure a little less pressure here. The hose reel may have something to do with that. I love the sound. Oh, shoot. Yeah. This feels like the identical amount of water.
I got it to connect.
All right, 13.6. That's a little more, isn't it?
It's 1.29.
Okay, so 1.29 GPM with the stock setup. Okay, so it pulled 14.1, so it's pulling a little bit more current. What? Oh yeah, that was lazy. I'm like a cat. Cats don't slip. 72. I've got these new adapters that I just bought. Good thing I only bought a couple hundred of them. But this adapter here is what will allow us to put a Cobra Jet hose extension on this setup, right? So we have 25-foot hose. So first option is you could just go buy the Sun Joe hose, right? You could buy it. They have an extended heavy-duty version of this thing. So that's the first option. Second option is you could buy like a 25 or 50 or 75 foot, like my Cobra Jet hose, and we can convert this M22 15 millimeter output, right? Because we can't just take the hose off, because it's a proprietary plug on the hose reel. So what we need to do is we would take this, put this on, because this is an M22 15 millimeter, and then we would then screw the end screw our Cobra Jet hose in. The problem is you really need to torque this fitting down. The barbs on the Cobra Jet hose are really stout, so you'd really need to torque that quite a bit. But the problem is I just tried torquing on a, whatever they call that, a plug, and I'd split it in half. So that's bad news. These brass fittings aren't very stout. So this one I didn't put on as aggressively. So for this test, just to keep it simple, I don't want to have to take the ends off of my hose, and I don't want to go grab another $115 hose and use it, because I don't need it. So I just put a plug on here, and so then all I'm going to do is take and extend a 50-foot hose like this. So you could do that too if you wanted to. You just plug and the M22 15 millimeter, and now we have a 75-foot hose instead of a 25-foot hose that the machine comes with. And we showed earlier on the 3000 that we didn't lose any pressure, so we shouldn't have any issue with extending this here with these machines. The only thing I wonder is, are we going to lose some with this funky connection here? So the most viable option, I think, on this, so here's our outlet, which would be an M22 15 millimeter, same as the 3000. So we probably want to just take this off and then hacksaw this, you could probably use a screwdriver, but I would prefer to use a hacksaw, and just hack off this darn hose reel, or just never put it on. And then, you know, we don't have to deal with all of this crappiness here. I mean, this plastic handle is really junky, so I'd probably just be inclined to take the hose, quick disconnect it off, and remove it. So, in other words, you're probably better off buying the 3000 instead of the 3001. The problem is, I think the 3000 is a little harder to get now. Like, it's almost like they don't make them, or I don't know. At least the one I got was used, so it's a little harder to find. All right. So let's turn this on. We're gonna be 3.0, I think. Yeah, same 1050 PSI as we got on the 3001, or the 3000. Yeah, it's like 1025. It's right at the right at that number. I love the sound of this thing. It's so good. It's growing on me. I'm gonna try to modify my Krenzler and see if I can get it to make that sound. It'd make it way better, don't you think? Okay, do our test. 3, 2, 1, go. So what did the others do? Like 1.45, so we should be somewhere around that, I would guess. So I think what I'll probably do is offer people the option to either do full new hose or do some sort of extension. It seems so simple, but to write that in the software, to build that in the store and have it not confuse people to death is tricky. It's not as easy as you'd think it would be. This whole thing is not as easy as you'd think it would be, otherwise everybody would do it. Oh boy, always makes me nervous. I don't want to let anybody down with their Sun Joe. How much amperage are we pulling? 11.9. 11.9 with the 3.0 nozzle. We're getting, 15.32. 15.2. So what is that? 1.49 GPM. That's with a 75-foot long hose. Again, under 100 feet really doesn't matter much. So, you know, you can do a 50-foot extension, 25-foot extension. I think if you did a 100-foot extension on the stock one, again, I'm going to recommend for longevity, I think it's going to be smarter to take the hose reel off and go right to the back, or get yourself a 3000 because you don't need the hose reel. Okay, let's go test our foam cannon. 1mm orifice. Oh yeah, killing it. Does the job. That's like shaving cream. Change your life. Look, I even got it all over me. 13.7 amps, so we're safe because it's a 14.5 amp thinger motor. Good. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.